Today we are going to tackle one of the most challenging problems in Rust. How do we get our team to adopt Rust in the first place? And I'm going to borrow some pointers, or I'm going to give you a reference. I'm going to wrap a response in an RC pointer and give it to you right now, based on my experience in the industry and how I got a couple of teams to adopt Rust already. So if you don't know me, I'm Dario Lencina. I'm a staff engineer, currently working at Main Mobility, but I also have experience with General Motors, where I was assigned to cruise automation, an autonomous vehicle company. Rest in peace. Let me start with the premise. How do I convince my team to adopt Rust? That premise is on its own a little bit flawed. It's tough to convince people just with talking and stuff. Instead, what you do is you empathize with their concerns. So let's say that you're working on a Python shop. So there are all these very experienced, very senior Python developers. They collectively put probably thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of hours on that language. Put yourself on their shoes. They feel a little bit threatened that here comes this dude trying to take their tools away from them and replace them with Rust. It's a little bit threatening. I assure you that your instinct will be to push back, to say, why? Why will I do that? And it wouldn't be enough if you just show me articles from Google, like some technical report showing me how they were able to fix all these memory leaks with it. It's just not enough for me. Instead, what you do is you need to present enough data. I suggest that you take one of the hardest problems that you are facing in your system. Maybe you're using too many threads, maybe too much CPU, maybe too much memory, or you have an algorithm that will run more efficiently, that will be faster if you could run it in parallel. For me, when I was able to adopt my team to switch to Rust, I had all the problems. It turns out that we were doing a very CPU-intensive task, which is to encode VP9 video. We were using many processes, many Python processes to encode video, and then one more process to send the encoded video over to the server. And each process used, 200 megabytes of memory. By using Rust, we were able to cut that back to one process. Instead of all these, we had as many processes as cameras, and we had 8 cameras. So 8 processes plus a 9th process to send everything to the server. We transform all that to just one Rust process. I want to emphasize, or I want to mention a design pattern that it's very common. It's called the Strangler Fig pattern, where you just replace one module in your code. So in this case, if you have a Python application, you just use PyO3 to create bindings between your Rust code and your Python. And you just replace one module out of the application, so that you don't get into these discussions where you're going to do a full-blown rewrite and then it becomes expensive. You are adding a lot of friction to the process. So I propose that you start small, pick the one feature, and you just prove to the team that it works. If you have a healthy management, like in my case, I did have a very healthy management at Main Mobility. I remember that my boss, Camille at the time, once I showed the data, he was sold on it, and we were able to move forward. So, assuming that you have a healthy team, a very data-driven team, this should be enough. If you use this approach, you won't be imposing anything on them. They'll make the call. They'll see the gains, and they'll just make a call on their own. And they'll feel better, because maybe I'm a Python guy with X number of experience in Python, but because I'm seeing the gains, I'm making the decision to jump on your initiative as opposed to that being imposed on me. You'll get a different reaction. Let me know if this works for you. If it does not work, I want to know from you. I want to know what your teammates told you, and I bet you that we can do a follow-up and tackle those scenarios, see what really happened in there. But I assure you that this will get most teams to switch over in a progressive way. So this won't be just flipping a switch. You'll just start, going after those high-value targets and then progressively rewrite things over in Rust. If you like Rust, I bet you'll love this video. Cheers.